Gemini sun is very creative, very clever, beautiful, beautiful mastery over the use of language, highly intelligent. I was actually reading an article today about how Gemini is one of the most overly represented zodiac sign in Nobel Peace Prize winners. So if you were to put all the Nobel Peace Prize winners together in a category and you were to figure out what each of them zodiac sign was, what you will find is that most of them are Geminis. Why? Because Gemini is one of the most intelligent zodiac sign, but more importantly, they can become very consumed with their obsession in a way. If they're passionate about something and it's something creative and it's something that gets their juices flowing, they can cancel everything else out and like become the best at it, like obsess over it, like so deeply. We don't give enough credit to the fact that even though Gemini is flighty as an air sign, by the way, all air signs are flighty. I'm an Aquarius rising. I know I come across flighty and very unbothered because that's air sign energy. Even though Gemini is flighty, what people don't give them enough credit for is the fact that they're deeply loyal. And they're very loyal to their ideas more than anything. When Gemini is in love with an idea, they get very dedicated to it. So it doesn't surprise me that they would make the most Nobel Prize winners because they need to know things. They're excellent investigators. If you need to hire a private investigator to stalk on somebody or to like follow someone around, if you need to hire a private investigator to follow somebody around that you think is cheating on you, go with a Gemini. Go with a Virgo. Like there's some of these signs that are just excellent at getting to the bottom of things. And it's like they cannot rest until they know the answer. Gemini just needs to know what is the truth. They're just obsessed with getting to the bottom of it. In fact, they don't really care what they find. They don't have a preconceived notion of what is to be discovered at the end of the road. They're not attached to it emotionally the way Scorpio is. Scorpio gets a gut instinct about what the truth is. And then Scorpio gets emotionally invested in that reality. And Scorpio dismisses everything else that doesn't match what they believe inherently. Like as an example, if Scorpio believes somebody is like a terrible human being, let's say Scorpio goes, "You're a shitty person. I don't like you." Let's say that's their thought. What Scorpio is going to now activate is, let me look for all of the data that basically supports this idea that I think you're a horrible person and I should not like you or trust you. Gemini, on the other hand, goes, I have an intuition, I have a feeling that you're a horrible person, but let me test it out and see what I find. You may not be a horrible person, or you could be a horrible person. I don't really know, but let's go ahead and discover it. But they're not going to stop investigating until they know exactly what it is. And one of the things I love about the way Gemini's brain works, which is another thing that most people don't have, and maybe that's why people hate Gemini so much, because people don't understand how Gemini's brain work. It's one of the most beautiful brains anyone could have, the most beautiful brain out of the entire zodiac, in my opinion. Because unlike Aquarius, who is also very smart, Gemini can investigate things without being attached to them. Do you know how amazing that is? To devote energy, brain space to an idea without being emotionally attached to it? Cancer could never. Cancer would literally die if they were to find out that what they were feeling was not right. That whatever idea they had that made them feel this thing was not true. They can handle that. Gemini is very emotionally disconnected from the truth. They care about the truth whether it feels good or not good. They don't attach feelings to the truth. These are just facts. They're just the facts of life. And they respect the facts. And they don't like being confused about the facts. And then this is why they can't let things go until they get to the bottom of them. The other thing about Gemini is their sensitivity, which is hardly ever talked about. A lot of their intuition really comes from their sensitivity. Their ability to shift and shape-shift around situations to be able to survive. They can always read a room. They can always, figure out, what the energy is in the room very quickly. And they can always transform themselves into whatever it is they need to become in that moment to make you feel the most comfortable, the most at ease, and the most entertained, so that you're able to share information with them. You see, everything Gemini does is for the sake of information gathering. It is. They are, again, one of the best investigators of the zodiac. And they know that people share information when people are comfortable. So they don't mind being a clown. They don't mind looking silly to you. They don't mind cracking jokes. They don't mind you thinking they're crazy, as long as they have you laughing, they have you feeling good, they have you relax, because they know when you're in that state, that's when you open up. Because they want to know what's real. They want to know what's real. Gemini is like that 7-year-old child that asks, these inappropriate questions that adults don't want to answer. They don't want to answer because they're uncomfortable questions. And adults don't like to talk about certain things that are uncomfortable. But Gemini is an air sign, so they're going to ask. I remember, oh my God, this is kind of embarrassing, but I feel like it's a good example to share because it speaks to like what I'm talking about. So you guys know I'm an Aquarius rising, right? So a lot of my presentation, my energy is very air sign. Aquarius, much like Gemini, much like Libra, they need to know stuff. Air signs, they just need to know stuff. But Gemini, because they're the child of the air signs, they're going to be more playful about it, right? They could like crack a joke about it, but they really want to know. They're very good at like making fun of you without you realizing they're making fun of you. That's like that childlike heart, that childlike humor about them, because they really want to have a good time. But here's my embarrassing story. So I remember when I was a kid, so I had this like older adult that was like taking a shower, and they were washing themselves, and I could hear themselves like washing themselves like really, really like hard. And like this is like maybe like a little borderline inappropriate, but how like as an adult when you're like washing your bum, like how it sounds when you're really like cleaning yourself the way you're supposed to clean. I know some of you don't really wash yourself, so maybe this sounds foreign to you, but some of us really like to get in there and make sure all of it is like clean, like squeaky clean. So I remember when I was very, very young, one of like my older like adult relative was like washing themselves really hard, and I could hear that sound. And I remember looking at my mom. I used to get in trouble so much as a kid for asking questions because my mom is a Taurus. She did not like a lot of questions. And Aquarius, I'm like, we need to talk about this. Like I wanted to talk about everything, including all the awkward, uncomfortable stuff that adults don't like to talk about. So I still remember this, and I went to my mom because I love talking. So mom, like, what's that noise? What's that noise, mama? What's that noise in there, mama? I really wanted to know because like I'm just curious. And that's Gemini's energy. They're like this child, who just wants to know. Like there's a certain innocence about them. Is that innocence a little devilish sometimes? Yes, but that's children. That is children. Like they mean no harm, but they sometimes do devilish things, Like, was that uncomfortable for my mom? Yes. Hell yeah, she was embarrassed. Like, what the hell? Like, this is not how I raised you. To be talking about adult things that are disgusting. Like, shut that mouth now, because that's my Taurus mom. She plays no games. She's like, if it's wrong, it's wrong. And I'm going to call it out as soon as I see it. And that's the end of it. So, yeah, this is an embarrassing story, but that's air sign energy. But Gemini epitomizes that energy because they're not embarrassed. They're not uncomfortable. Trying to embarrass a Gemini is you trying to embarrass yourself. And I pity the fool. I pity the fool. You know who says I pity the fool? Anybody on this live old enough to know who I'm talking about? Anybody on this live? I pity the fool. Whose quote is that? Come on now, don't make me say it. You guys don't know? Yeah, Mr. T. Come on now. Come on. Mr. T. That's what I'm talking about, Mr. T. I pity the fool that tries to get into a verbal exchange with Gemini thinking they're going to embarrass them. Because my guy, you're never going to win that battle. My guy, you are wasting your time. Because there is no low. When Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. That's what she said. But my Capricorn heart is like, no, no. We match the energy. No, no. God is still working on me, y'all. I said I was a healer. I did not say I was healed. Okay? Let's not get it twisted. If you go low, I will meet you there and I'll petty your petty any day. Don't play. Don't play with me. You ain't gonna like it. Gemini is that same energy. You want to be petty? You want to try to embarrass Gemini? Yeah. You're going to embarrass yourself trying to embarrass a Gemini. Every single day of the week. I'm willing to put my money on Gemini every day. Verbal exchange, verbal battle, don't do it. Don't do it. Remember, they are a child. You're arguing with a 7-year-old. You think a 7-year-old cares about your feelings? You think they have decorum, grace, class, maturity? You think they have a line? No, there's no such thing as too low if you want to mess around with a Gemini. They're going to get you. Luckily for y'all, Gemini is not really a mean-spirited zodiac sign. As much crap as we talk about Gemini because of their childish ways, they don't actually intend to come across that way. They're not actually like malicious with it. It's just they do things without thinking. They don't think about the outcome. They're just having a good time. They like to have fun. They like to laugh. They like to make you laugh. They like levity. They just want to be vibing through life, just having a good time. And sometimes that means, getting in some mess. Because, mess is fun sometimes. And that's usually when Gemini gets in trouble. When they get in mess and then they make things worse for themselves and for other people. And then when it blows up, then they're like, what happened? Because honestly, they'd be so confused. Because they didn't think it was that serious. They didn't think it was that deep. They were just having fun. That's Gemini. Somebody said, yep. Yeah, it's just a child with a good heart, but who wants a lot of attention and will try anything that they can to get it. It's either you're going to give it to them when they're being nice or you're going to give it to them when they're being a jerk. But either way, they're going to get it. And if you're trying to check them, you're going to embarrass yourself because they will outcheck you. Because they got no pride. They got nothing to lose at any point in time. What is it to them? They don't care. What's Mr. T's zodiac sign? Can somebody tell me? Can someone Google that? Because that sounds like Gemini energy. I pity the fool. Can someone Google that for me, please? Yeah, it's not wise to do that. But yeah, can someone Google that for me? Mr. T's zodiac sign? Yeah, they just want to be vibing through life. They just want to be having a good time. They like to be the life of the party. And unfortunately for Gemini, sometimes they interpret the life of the party as being the one that has T. Mr. T is a Gemini? You just checked? Oh, see, I didn't even know that. See, I'm good at what I do. Don't tell me I don't know my shit. This is why I don't argue with none of y'all. This is why I don't argue with none of y'all in my comment section. Because I know what the fuck I be talking about. I didn't even know he was a Gemini. But I just had Gemini energy written all over it. I pity the fool. That's Gemini all day long. Like, yeah, you try me, please. Please try me so we can have some fun. Let's do this. Because I need to be entertained right now. So, yeah. You feeling froggy? You want to jump? Okay, let's do it. Let's see who wins at the end of the day. Let's see who has the last word. Let's do it. So that's Gemini's energy all day long. That's Gemini in a nutshell. Gemini, your gifts are creativity. Your gifts are communication and really getting us closer to the truth. You're here to ask the uncomfortable questions that we don't want to ask. The questions that we don't want to ask, you're here to ask them. Like Malcolm X. One of Malcolm X's quotes that I love is, who taught you to hate yourself? It's a simple question. That's Gemini's gift. They're able to give you the question and the answer in one statement. Do you know how talented you have to be able to do that. Give people the answer in the question. He didn't say a lot. He said, who taught you to hate yourself? That's all he said. Who taught you to hate yourself? When you answer that question, you already know this. You know what it is. You know what's up. He ain't got to spell it out for you. You figured it out. That's Gemini energy. And I love Gemini so much because of that ability to create, the ability to get you to think, to feel different things, to experience different consciousness with just their words. They have been gifted with the gift of Mercury. God was like, everybody's going to speak, but when you speak, I want the world to shake. And that is the power of Gemini. That's why even when Gemini is quiet, when they speak, the world shakes. I was thinking about Migos, rest in peace. You guys may or may not know about Migos, but one of them recently passed away. So now there's only 2 Migos left. And the one who passed away was a Gemini. And everybody always knew him as very quiet. So not all Geminis are chatty. They're chatty with the people they're close to, even when they're not chatty with everybody. But most of them are chatty with everybody. But even the ones that are chatty with the ones that are quiet are still chatty with the people close to them. But the one who passed away was known as being the quiet one, super humble one, super wise one. So, they were like the peacemaker of the group, the one that brought them together when things got a little too heated with these other 2 fire signs in the mix. It's like Gemini doesn't have to say a lot. They didn't have to say a lot. But every time they opened their mouth, it was like you could hear God speak, because it would just be pure wisdom, just facts, straight wisdom, straight facts. Tupac was a Gemini, straight wisdom, straight facts. Tupac is like, I don't understand how the world is full of multimillionaire and the world is full of so many big churches and homeless people sleeping on the street. We got all these big churches down the street, but homeless people are sleeping on the street. But you guys are supposed to be doing God's work. And Jesus said to take care of the poor. How come you don't open up the church for poor people to go sleep inside? I don't understand. That's Gemini. If they don't understand it, they don't know it, they don't get it, they're going to ask you. They're going to ask the world because they want answers. They want to know. Make it make sense. My issue with Gemini is that they don't use when they're unevolved, they don't understand the power that they hold in their mouth, and they waste it on foolishness. And foolishness is gossip. It's he said, she said. It's making assumptions about things they know nothing about. It's saying things that are salacious just to get a reaction, just to stir the pot, and just to see how it goes. It's not having a moral compass. It's telling white lies and twisting words to get themselves out of a jam so that they can walk away feeling like a good person, even though what they did was really, really horrible and really hurt people. And I presume that's what everybody's issue is with Gemini. But as an astrologer, I know that when Gemini does these things, it's not because they're setting out to be evil. It's because they are in their childish, unevolved state. It's because they're having fun. And, Sagittarius struggles with the same thing, Gemini. You're not the only one. So don't think I'm just giving you, shots because you're the only one. You're not. You and your sister sign Sagittarius got the same problem. You both like to have fun. Sagittarius does not care, who they hurt on their path to having fun. Sagittarius will bounce if they need to bounce. If you're not giving them that energy, that vibe, whatever you were given, whatever you were serving that made them want to hang with you, they're gone. They don't care. You think they're crying about it? No. You're not fun anymore, and that's the end of it. These 2 zodiac signs really, really value fun. And again, I'm a Sagittarius. I know fun is important because otherwise we just all going to be depressed. And how much fun is that? Who wants to sit at the house depressed till they die? Nobody wants that. We want to laugh. We want to feel good. So Gemini, I get it. But you not thinking about the fact that you are hurting people on your quest to have fun ends up not being fun for you, because the universe punishes you more severely when you use your gifts to harm as opposed to using your gifts to make people laugh, bring people together, as opposed to sharing gossip. Why not introduce people to each other? If you see somebody sitting in the corner that doesn't have a friend or who's lonely, you could go to them and say, hi, my name is so and so, like you do. And then go back and say, hey, Sally, I just met this new person. They're new here. They need a friend. So use your gift to heal, to unite, to collaborate, to problem solve, to come up with new ideas, to shake and rock the foundation of Earth, to get the humans to awaken to their higher calling. Because that's really what you're here to do, to open our brains, our minds, to get us out of our mental fog so we can be a better version of who we're supposed to be. And I'm so glad that you ain't got no pride in that game and that you're willing to use whatever tool you've got to get your message across. And for that, you will always have my respect. Always. So that's Gemini. Gemini is my sister sign, so naturally I love Gemini. Absolutely adore Gemini. I love the energy. Gemini is so much fun. Gemini is like the best energy to have around. So generous with their energy. And they're also so like open with it. You know, when they know things, they share. They don't hoard information like some of you out there, other selfish zodiac signs. Gemini is not selfish in that way at all, which, you know, a lot of people cannot say. Oh, you're so welcome. You're so, so welcome. Thank you for hanging out with me. And I do want to remind you guys to subscribe. That is all. Thanks again. Have a wonderful evening. You guys take care of yourselves, okay? All right, bye. Love you guys. Bye-bye.
You can book your astrology reading at intuitivehealing.com. You can also watch videos at Intuitive Healing here on YouTube for Astrology 101 content. Listen to the Aquarius podcast on Spotify, as well as here on YouTube for your horoscope. If you're interested in astrology and love connections, you can visit at Styled Under Libra. And of course, for health and wellness and holistic healing, visit at Styled Under Virgo for all of your astrology content. Thanks so much for watching.